So leave it to the Minnesota Supreme Court to issue this ruling and the potential ramifications that this is going to have in the state in which I reside.
Fewer tan lines, a slight decrease in bikini sales. Oh, the horror.
Now, I'm going to have to default to the headline here because it's not necessarily platform appropriate. So check this out. So there's your headline. Minnesota Supreme Court, female are not lewd or inherently and can be exposed in public.
Bro, you can say breasts and sexual. This isn't preschool. It's okay.
This whole issue stems from a case where a woman, apparently an exotic dancer, but was in public and busted 2 different times by law enforcement for exposing that part of her body. So the Minnesota Supreme Court decided to dive into the issue and determined that because this woman's intent wasn't
sexual
by nature, therefore, the definition of lewd in public as it relates to our laws here in Minnesota does not apply to a woman exposing her chest area,
breasts,
as being
sexual
by nature, and so therefore it's not lewd, so women will essentially be allowed to walk around topless.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense, because, you know, the definition of lewd is crude or offensive in a sexual way. So all the court did was, you know, read the definition, and that's what they went with, because that's kind of their job. That's what they do.
Which is going to make the protests that take place a lot here in Minnesota, especially on the left, that much more interesting, to say the least.
I mean, yeah, the French do it all the time, and they're kind of like the gold standard of protesters, so I'd say you're right. And you want to know what the funny thing is? The only reason to make the protests more interesting, as you put it, is because prudes like you get uncomfortable at the idea of women having the same rights as men. You get the irony there, right? Is the only reason that topless women protesting has any effect at all is because triggered little man babies have snowflake meltdowns every time they think about topless women protesting. Your salty little conservative tears are what fuel them. So if y'all were really that worried about it, you could just get together and collectively, you know, not care. And then it wouldn't happen, because there'd be no point to it. But I guess that would interfere with your kink of telling women what they can and can't do with their bodies. And let's be real, some of it's probably just jealousy too, right? Because we all know that you're gonna get out your box of Kleenex and bottle of Johnson & Johnson and hate watch a topless leftist protest. But even you wouldn't want to see a topless MAGA rally, because, you know, bull.
Listen, to say that it's not
sexual
in nature for a woman to go and expose her chest area is an utterly ridiculous, no pun intended.
God, I hope telling bad dad jokes doesn't actually mean that you are a dad. Let's be very clear. Breasts are not sexual by nature. They're baby feeders by nature. They're sexualized by society, not by nature. It's not women's faults that you are, you know, just such a pervert by nature. That one is completely on you. Maybe stop worrying so much about what women are allowed to do with their bodies and start focusing more on, you know, baseball or your dad's scrotum or whatever it is you need to do to work on some self-improvement there.
Ask 9 out of 10 guys here in Minnesota. Well, I guess it is Minnesota, so ask 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10 guys in Minnesota will tell you that region of a woman's body is definitely
sexual
in nature.
All right, bro, hold up. So your benchmark to make decisions on women's bodies is to ask men what their opinion is. You don't see any issues with that? Nothing comes to mind as to why that might be a flawed metric? Yeah, I didn't think so. Anyway, moving on.
I just hate the fact that we're just destroying our societal standards.
I do love that you just said with your full chest, pun definitely intended, that you think that equality for all people under the law is destroying society. So you could be advocating for men to be required to keep their nipples covered in public. I prefer you didn't, because of course I don't want to be forced to wear a bikini top, but that would still be equality. But no, you just want women to be treated differently than men. And that's, you know, fucked.
Modesty is not a bad thing.
Modesty isn't bad, you say, as you boastfully give your opinion about something that doesn't affect you on the internet while telling other people what they should and shouldn't be allowed to do with their bodies. Right.
And giving license for individuals to walk around
topless. You can say the word topless
all the time, I don't think is any way that we need to be going as a society. Do we need to expose our young people to more of this nonsense?
Oh, think of the children.
I know, they already see a lot, especially every time Pride Month rolls around.
All right, pride is now the problem. Not you electing an adjudicated rapist who brags about assaulting women to the presidency. No, parades of the most fun people you know are what we need to worry about the children seeing.
But now it's going to get much, much worse.
All right, now that a woman might not get arrested for being topless in public in Minnesota, we're definitely heading for the collapse of society. Just like all of these other dystopian countries that don't have laws outlawing toplessness. For every state in blue here where, you know, toplessness is and has been legal. Just call it a hunch, bud, but I think you're gonna be okay. I mean, probably not. You seem insufferable, but in relation to this, it's not going to affect your life in the slightest. And on the topic of Minnesota, which you seem to hate as much as women, you know, you can leave. Like, we aren't keeping you here. There are lots of places you could be that are not here, and we encourage you to go find them. That said, if you are worried about the legality of toplessness, it looks like Ohio or Tennessee are gonna be your only options. Anyway, that's all I got for you, so ta-ta, pun intended.